So far we've talked about the benefits of unit and integration testing, but the Xcode suite of tools provides one additional form of testing called automation testing. In this lesson we'll learn how to use the UIAutomation instrument to test drive our application. Automation testing allows us to write scripts to simulate the way a user interacts with a running application. These scripts can drive the application by tapping buttons, performing swipes, and navigating from screen to screen just like a user. Unlike a human user, our scriptable robot can perform these tasks endlessly without making mistakes, getting tired, or bored. This capability is made possible by a tool called Instruments, running a specific instrument called UIAutomation. I'll go up to the Product menu and select Profile. This will launch the Instruments tool. And from its startup screen, I'll select the Automation instrument and say Profile. I'll stop Instruments as I don't need that to be running right now. And let me resize this so that we can see the simulator in a little better view. Now this dropdown that says Trace Log, I'll pop that open and select Script. So here's our script editor. We currently don't have a script, so I'll go over to the Add button and say Create. This will create a new script for me. I can then hit the Record button, and this will start a capture session. Now as this is recording, I can interact with the app and it will record some scripted actions for me. So I'll tap the About iMusic button, and we can see that drops some script into our script editor. Tap the Done button, and that added an additional line to our script. Let me hit Stop. So in the script editor we have a number of blue bubbles now. If I click the little down arrow on the right hand side of these bubbles, I'll see some different options for how I could reference this particular element. So main window is the way I can typically get the main window, but I could ask for that same reference in a couple different ways. If I'd like to select this option, I can double click on it, and that will save it. Same kind of thing for the About iMusic button. I can click the down arrow and see some different ways I could reference this button. If I'd like to accept all of the suggestions that it's made for me, I can simply right-click and say Flatten All Suggestions. But what this did is wrote some JavaScript that will reference various elements on screen and then interact with them. In this particular case, it's calling a tap method on the button. If I click the Run button, we'll see this in action. So that was kind of cool and interesting that it was able to play back those actions. But the question is what value are we getting from it? And frankly, at this point, we're not getting any value. We haven't written an actual test yet. So let's do that. Before we begin, I'm going to replace this with some handwritten script. It's a little more readable and maintainable compared to the automatically generated code that this tool provided. So let me just replace this with some equivalent code. So I'm getting a reference to the target, which is the device or the host on which this app is running. Ask for the frontmost app, so this is our instance of iMusic. Ask for the main window, ask for the navigation bar. Then from the window, I will ask for its buttons array, and specifically I'm looking for the About iMusic button, and I'll tap it. When that window pops up, I'll call the nav bar's right button and tap it to close it. So let's write an actual test. Now to start a test, I use UIAlogger log start, and this will create a starting point for our test. After tapping the button, I'll tell the target to delay for half a second, and this will just ensure that the animation has time to complete and the window is fully visible on screen. I'll then check the navbar name and make sure that its title is iMusic. If it is, we'll say log passed, just meaning our test successfully passed. If it's anything other than that, we'll say log fail, and this will fail the test. So let me run this test and see the results. So we can see it ran it, and we have a log type of pass. Let me jump back to the script editor, and I'll just change this expectation to iMusic's. So this time we can see that it failed. I can drill in, and I can see, oh, I've got the wrong title on the About view. Whenever a failure occurs, I can also open up the extended detail view and see a screenshot of that failure. So I click the little eyeball icon, this will open it up in a larger view, and I can see that same failure message in the title bar. So if we've got a large number of tests that we're running, and any of them fail, we can easily look back through these logs and figure out what the problem was. I'll change that back to what it was. Let's write an additional test. So I'll say log start once again, and this time I want to test that the close button is working properly on the About view screen. So once again, I'll delay for half a second to let that animation complete. And then I'll say after tapping the close button, I'm going to ask for the window images length of 1 and a window buttons length of 2. And this is the test I'm using to make sure that we're back on the main view. So our main view should have exactly 1 image and 2 buttons on screen. There are a number of different ways I could have made this comparison, but just wanted to show you that one. But assuming that condition is true, we'll log pass. Otherwise, we'll log a failure. Oh, and I can see we need to move this line of code up here. So I'll run it again. And this time we can see that both of our tests passed. You should now have a better understanding of the UIAutomation instrument. We can use its record feature to automatically write the scripted user interactions, and can then use UIA logger to assert the expected application state to verify our behavior.